Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's the third episode, day 41 of this growing fall gold raspberry cutting series. The top node has recovered nicely. Looks like an early stage miniaturized version of a vegetable sprouting there. And for the second node, it has the most lush growth. There's a tip sort of towards the middle that's a little brown, a little burned. But other than that, 99% of the foliage that's sprouted from this stick is very healthy looking. The foliage is greener now than it was during the filming of episode 2. That was my main concern back then. I felt that the foliage color was a little light, something was a little off. But you'll see as this episode progresses, all my concerns have been assuaged. So node 3 is no slouch either. It's producing a lot of foliage. It might even surpass node 2 in production. So I can't wait to see how the development of this stick plays out. It'll have the appearance of a mature raspberry bush at some point, and it sends out canes. This is all new to me. I've never seen any of this before. I've seen California blackberries in the wild, but I've never seen something just grow from a cutting like this. So I'm eager to see how this plays out. And then this node towards the bottom near the soil line has some foliage popping out as well. Maybe that's second to last node. Not much going down on the soil line right there. It's day 43. There's more development. Again, it looks like a nascent vegetable developing up there. Something you could fry up and eat. So I haven't seen any bugs yet. I hope none appear. But if they do, I'll have to adjust accordingly. Hopefully this doesn't have too many natural insect or parasite predators. So the foliage is getting bigger and nicer. It's not really so much elongating as just shooting out petioles and these compound leaves so far, which is nice. I don't like my plants to be too viney and spindly. So I think it's been the right amount of development. It's starting to accelerate because the weather's getting warmer again, and pretty soon it'll be spring, and the hours of sunlight will get longer. But at some point I'll move, and that will maybe disrupt the rhythm of this plant a little bit. I think I'll be getting morning sun pretty soon rather than afternoon sun. Morning sun is less harsh, and afternoon sun is more harsh. Plus there's that hill that you may have seen not too far in the distance, and that blocks out a lot of the late afternoon sun, so that really limits what this plant can receive, and all my other plants as well. So this is the only plant growing series that's going well so far. The pineapple hasn't received a great reception, and this one just keeps giving me progress, so I'm running with it. I do have a few other plant growing series in progress that should produce results over the course of the next few weeks, but I'm glad I have this one series being productive right now. A lot of my other stuff, such as the mango seedling or what's left of it, as you can see right behind us, is taking forever to resurrect, so to speak. So I don't have a lot of material to work with. Passion fruit vine looks to be in trouble. Looks like it's dying off, but I'll have updates on those eventually. I just wanted to wait long enough. And I'm wondering if this shoot here is a primocane, or what's the deal. I'm sure many of you have much more experience than I do, so maybe one of you can tell me what that is. We'll get another look at it for the rest of this video as well in subsequent days. So it's day 46. Finally we get some strong afternoon sunlight. Everything looks very lush and vibrant now, and bigger. So I have no more worries about everything looking all pallid. The emerald green leaves you see here remind me much of the honeydew leaves in the 2013 series. That was my first plant growing series actually, where I took the plants out from indoors with very limited LED light and put them on the balcony, on the bottom of the balcony actually, but I didn't have this table, and the natural sunlight would hit during springtime, and that started to accelerate the growth. These leaves have that same green translucent look, except they're not vine leaves. This is more of a berry shrub or fruit shrub instead. So the leaves look very healthy. They're greener and they're getting larger and larger. I don't think it makes any sense to disturb the equilibrium. The plant is happy, so to speak. And by fertilizing or doing anything differently, I would jeopardize that, which I don't want to do, not until the plant gets more established and generates a root ball that takes up this entire soil mass, which is, I believe, optimal for most potted plants. I'm wondering if that's primocane. If any of you think it is, please let me know. Many of you are much more experienced in berry growing, so these plants tend to shoot out various canes, and when they're new in their first year they're called primocanes, and then they become florocanes in their second year and bear fruit, berries that are better actually in taste and quality. So I'm doing this watering. I know I promised to do it once every 2 weeks in the beginning of this series, but I decided that that wasn't frequent enough. The soil tends to dry out a little bit by the second week, and the packaging that this stick came in and all the instructions I've read online say you should do a deep watering for your raspberry plants, your canes, every week basically. So I've been doing it every 7 to 10 days. This pod has 6 avocado seeds in it. Hope something happens there soon. But yeah, I just do a watering until I see water dripping into that watering tray below. It takes a lot of this. You do a little bit of watering, wait for everything to sink in, and it sinks in a little bit more slowly than just regular potting mix because I have a lot of, well, maybe not a lot of, but I have some wild dirt in there from the California hills in this neighborhood, and that tends to congeal and clump up with the potting mix in itself and form an impermeable layer, or a layer that takes a long time for water to trickle through. And I just keep repeating this process. It can be a little bit tedious, but I've found that it definitely works. The conventional wisdom is it's better to do infrequent deep waterings than it is to do frequent shallow waterings. So that's exactly what I'm doing, and at least for this series it seems like it's successful. So finally we have water dripping down there, and I'll stop and water the other pots until I'm done with those instead. Alright, it's day 48. It's only been 2 days since the last filming, but as you can see the foliage looks a lot more green. It looks more mature. The leaves have more wrinkles and they may be thicker, although part of all this may just be an artifact due to the overcast, darker conditions compared to 2 days ago. And the camera itself, if there's a lot of green, if there's a preponderance of mature lush leaves that are dark green, then the coloring will be a lot more true, I think, at least for this camera that I'm using. So the top note is coming along nicely. It now has more live stuff in it than dead, which is great. I look forward to seeing that just look healthy, and I could trim away all those little brown bits, but I won't. I think it's just not even worth the trouble. Pretty soon everything will be overshadowed by lush green growth. So there's just no stopping this growth train. It seems like growth stock, basically. It's just going to go up and up day after day. So I hope that this will have the appearance more of a berry shrub or bush at some point rather than just a stick in the mud. But for now it's very interesting to look at all this growth and see how the leaves develop. I still don't quite know for sure what the mature leaves will look like. You can see some of these are 3-pronged compound leaves, but that big leaf from node 2 just looked like something more akin to a maple leaf or something like that. So sometimes there are oddities in leaf development, as we saw with the passion fruit last year, 2017 and 2016. Some of those leaves are just they only have 1 prong, and the others have 3 prongs, and they're not always consistent in their size and shape. So it's just little interesting ends and odds that you notice when you get up and close and review the footage later on especially. So nothing from that node down there. maybe it's burned or damaged. Not every node needs to or will grow foliage. Some of those are just backup locations in case something happens everywhere else. And you can see a lot more leaf definition here as well in this second to bottom node. And I'm still trying to decide whether that green shoot at the bottom is primocane coming out, or is it just a node in an unfortunate location. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode.